Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Virginia Ellen Whitmore, and I'm coming to you from Coconut Grove, Florida, where I reside. And I have something very important, maybe life-altering if you decide it to be, to tell you. 30 years ago today, I walked out of my friend's apartment in the Bowery in New York City, looked at Soho News, and the headline was Yoko Only, Love is the Same as Hate. At that moment I knew that John Lennon would die. I did not know exactly when, but I knew that he would expire very shortly. I was not happy with the knowledge. I arrived in New York on the 4th with $10 in my pockets, the syndication rights to Rambo First Blood, as given to me by the director Robert Schnitzer, and some samples of Afghani marijuana that was grown in the Iowa cornfields by my friends, 400 pounds of it, and I was trying to sell whatever I could to survive. I was 26 years old and very unsure of myself, but I knew that I needed to be in New York. I did not like seeing that headline, Yoko Only, Love is the Same as Hate. When I saw it, I said, oh no, John is dead. And then I said, not yet, in my head. The next day, I wandered around and didn't know what to do about it. On December the 8th, I went back to my friends, Pat Allen and her husband, John Rutledge Allen, who actually invented the TV special and produced all of the Peanuts movies. His best friend was Charles Schultz. He passed away in 1987, but he was the kindest man I've ever known. I went back to their house. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was terrified because I knew that something horrible was going to happen. My friend had taken me to the Russian and Turkish baths earlier in the day and dropped me off at the subway to go back to the Upper West Side. And when she dropped me off at the subway, she handed me a Thai stick joint, which people really pretty much don't know about anymore. But I said, may I walk around the Central Park and smoke this joint? And she said, of course, the neighborhood is perfectly safe. John Lennon lives there. I said, where? And she said, 72nd and the Park. And I said, isn't he dead yet? And I jumped and ran into the subway station on East 10th Street. I proceeded to get off the subway, walk towards the Dakota, smoking this joint, and as I walked towards the Dakota, I said, Ellen, what are you going to do? Take a bullet in your teeth or something? Catch a bullet in your teeth? What are you going to do? So I turned around, went to Gimbel's, and I went shopping. Hence, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. But the story gets better. Well, I mean, it was pretty awful. The next day when I woke up and John Allen came to my bedside, couch side, I was staying on their couch, and said, a very, very tragic thing has happened today in the music world, actually in the world at large. John Lennon has been shot dead through the heart, 9 short blocks away from here. I woke up, I looked at John, and I knew, John Allen, and I knew that my fate was sealed. I didn't know what to do about it, and so I stayed there all day. Towards evening, I went towards the Dakota and actually stepped in John Lennon's blood. I had electricity coursing through my body the moment I stepped in his blood, and I didn't know what to do about that either. So I went back to the apartment and hung out with the Allens. I had come there from Key West, and I was freezing cold. I felt miserable, alone, and bitter because George was my favorite Beatle, and I had never really been a Beatles fan since I was 9 years old. What happened after that was kind of a blur. I just know that I had to go back to Key West, and when I got back to Key West, I started being visited by a spirit, a presence, and it was nothing. It was electrical, magnetical dots and dashes, red, blue, and green. It overwhelmed me. It was almost orgasmic. I would just lie on the bed and be overwhelmed by these visitations. That continued pretty regularly on a nightly basis until January 1st, when I babysat all the children in Key West, because I don't go out on New Year's, it's amateur night, and my friend Sharona, the next day, I went to her house and said, "Could you pay me for babysitting?" And she said, "I don't have any money, but I have a credit card." So I said, "Well, okay, take me out for dinner, I'm hungry." So we went to dinner, but one thing and another, we had to leave. As we were walking down the street, two tourists proceeded to hit on us and say, "We'll take you out for lobster." She looked down at her white pants and said, "I can't go anywhere. Look what just happened." I said, "Okay, but cheer up. I dreamed you had a beautiful baby boy with black hair." And she said the weirdest thing to me. I thought she'd ask, she said to me, "What sign was he?" I said, "I don't know, but he was beautiful." And she said, "Okay." And so we went home to her house, ate black bean soup, and I was still visited by this presence, but it stopped. It stopped on the 15th. And then I didn't know what to do about anything. I was very lost because I knew that Reagan had been elected and that I did not want to be in a country where Bush was president. So I went to Jamaica, to my land. I had 167 acres of land in Jamaica, and I proceeded to be on my land from March. I arrived there March 21st. Nobody wanted me to go. They didn't want me to live in Jamaica by myself on 167 acres of land, but I wasn't worried. And I stayed there from March 21st. On the 30th, Reagan was shot, but he did not die. And then I had to come back in August. I came back to Key West, and then I left again. And then my friend Sharon gave birth to a beautiful baby boy on September 22nd, 1981. His name is Zeph. He resides in the mountains of Key West. He was born in Key West. He resides in the mountain of Virginia, like my first name. And he is a beautiful boy. The moment he was born, we had a deep connection. Well, I met him at 6 weeks old on Halloween. We had a deep connection, we do to this day. He is the love of my life. I have given birth to a son, but I love this boy more than anybody else on the face of the earth. At 18, he came to me and he said, "Ellen, about that John Lennon thing, I've always believed that I was one spirit with John Lennon, that there was no separation, that we were the same human being. I have more memories of my life as a child in England than I do in my childhood as Key West. I remember everything. I actually even remember being shot 5 times. What I don't remember is the actual moment of my death." I said, "Zeph, do you remember walking on Yoko for a pack of cigarettes?" "No." "Zeph, do you remember being on heroin?" "No." But everything else I remember. And the most important thing that I remember is that the soul has no time limit. So remember, Christ, you know it ain't easy. You know hard it can be. The way things are going, they're going to crucify me. You can contact me at Virginia Ellen Whitmore at Facebook.com. Virginia, VirginiaEllenWhitmore. Peace, love, happiness, one world, to be continued.